Chase Chrisley recently shared a video of himself spending time in Louisiana, complete with time on a boat. While out and about with friends, Chase also had a surprising boat guest, a large alligator. In the video, Chase could even be seen helping to lift the massive animal out of the water. Chase Chrisley is the son of real estate tycoon Todd Chrisley and his wife, Julie. Many fans were introduced to the family through the USA Network reality series, Chrisley Knows Best. In a joint video share on social media, Chase shared that he had taken a trip to Louisiana. In the recent video shared on Instagram, Chase could be seen on a boat with a group of friends in Louisiana. This included Ralph Williams, also known as Ralph the Baker, Jonathan Butler, and the Crabman. However, they would soon be joined by another guest. It was a massive alligator that Chase and the others helped bring onto the boat. Right before getting completely dragged on board, the gator could be seen splashing its large tail into the water, showing that the gator was alive during the moment. In a caption to the post, Butler shared that the gator was roughly the size of a dinosaur. Butler also thanked Kiri Melanson for the hospitality and the experience, as they all enjoyed their trip on the boat. Fans of the Chrisley family may remember a time when the family went gator hunting on Chrisley Knows Best. In the episode, See Ya Later, Alligator, Chase and his father, Todd, took Nanny Faye on such a trip after showing interest in getting alligator meat. That said, the intention was to scare her out of such trips after seeing a massive gator in person. Louisiana also has some importance to Chase, as his girlfriend, Jody Lane Fornerat, is from the state. In the comments, she shared, "My Southwest Louisiana roots are rubbing off on my man at Chase Chrisley." The Chrisleys, Back to Reality, had also recently featured Chase proposing to Jody. At the time, she turned him down, believing the timing wasn't right, but the two remained a couple. For his part, Ralph Williams, a New Orleans native, has made a name for himself as an internet personality for his cooking skills. Williams also showed an Instagram Stories video around the time of the trip, which featured a shot of Chase just before he entered a shop. Taking to the comments, fans were excited to see Chase enjoy himself on the trip in the video, showing excitement for him. Many of these fans noted that Todd had been going through a lot. What with his parents' recent presidential pardon? Others had a few questions about what was going on. Some comments included, "What do you think about Todd's recent share? Would you ever want to go face-to-face with a gator? Make sure you come back to TV shows Ace for all the latest reality TV and celebrity news." The swamp was restless, cloaked in a haze of damp air that clung to every breath. It was the kind of morning where the world seemed to hold its breath, and Chase Chrisley was already waist-deep in the unknown. He had grown up surrounded by stories of the wild South, tales whispered about creatures that lurked beneath murky waters, yet nothing had prepared him for the reality of what would rise from the depths that day. The boat he rowed was steady, though it groaned with each ripple that brushed against its hull. Sunlight filtered weakly through gray skies, casting long, shifting shadows across the water. Somewhere in the dark maze of reeds, a presence waited, hidden yet undeniable. Chase could feel it before he saw it. The low, bone-deep awareness that he was not alone. The first signs the surface of the swamp betrayed its secrets with subtle movements. Water shivered in wide circles, reeds trembled as if brushed by invisible hands, and ripples pushed outward with a deliberate rhythm. Chase tightened his grip on the rope coiled beside him, knowing the hunt had begun. Stories had circled about a monster alligator in these waters, a beast older than memory itself. Locals called it the king of the swamp, a creature large enough to tip boats, scared by battles from decades past. It was no ordinary gator. Legends painted it as nearly mythical, a relic of prehistoric strength and endurance. Chase had listened, curious but skeptical, until he saw the truth with his own eyes. A shadow, broad and stretching impossibly long beneath the surface, drifted toward him. It was no mere reptile. This was a living relic, and it was coming closer. The struggle against the boat shifted as the water surged upward. The creature broke the surface with terrifying force, jaws snapping with a crack that echoed across the swamp. Teeth gleamed like ivory daggers, and its eyes, ancient and unblinking, locked onto the intruder above. Chase braced himself as the boat rocked violently, his rope ready, muscles tense with the raw instinct of survival. The gator lunged, its massive tail whipping the water into a frenzy. Spray drenched him, stinging his eyes, yet he held steady. The rope was flung, wrapping around the ridged body with precision born of determination. The battle was not just man versus beast. It was a clash of willpower, strength against endurance, and neither would surrender easily. The rope strained, fibers groaning against the pressure. Chase planted his feet against the slippery wood, dragging with every ounce of strength. The gator thrashed, slamming its body against the boat, causing it to tilt dangerously toward the water. A lesser man would have fallen, consumed by the beast's fury. But Chase anchored himself, every muscle alive with fire, pulling the creature inch by inch toward the deck. The monster's wrath, the swamp erupted with chaos. Birds scattered from the treetops, startled by the violent struggle below. Water churned into waves, foam curling over the boat's edges. The gator roared, not in sound, but in the deep vibrations of its thrashing body that shook the very boards beneath Chase's boots. Its jaws snapped dangerously close, the sound sharper than the crack of broken wood. The rope dug deeper into its armored hide, but still the creature refused to yield. Chase knew that one wrong move, one slip, and the swamp would swallow him whole. He was not just fighting to capture it, he was fighting to survive. The beast lunged again, its maw opening wide enough to engulf half the deck. Chase leaned back, pulling hard, forcing the creature's head away from its target. The battle raged on, relentless and consuming, until finally, a shift occurred. The monster slowed, its movements growing more labored, exhaustion creeping into the raw fury of its strikes. The turning point seizing the moment, Chase dug deep into reserves of strength he didn't know he possessed. The rope tightened further, muscles straining, veins burning beneath his skin. The gator's massive body lifted partly out of the water, its sheer weight testing the limits of rope, man, and boat alike. Every second felt like an eternity. The swamp had become a theater, nature itself pausing to witness this primal showdown. The reeds swayed as if leaning in closer, the water still beyond the battleground, and even the sky seemed to wait in silence. Then, with one final heave, Chase dragged the monster across the edge of the boat. The beast thrashed violently, its bulk slamming against the wooden boards, shaking the vessel to its core. The boat groaned under the sudden load, but it held. The impossible had happened. The monster alligator was no longer a shadow in the water. It was real, massive, alive, and now captive upon the deck. The aftermath, the swamp slowly returned to its rhythm, though it carried an uneasy stillness, as if nature itself recognized the shift. Chase stood over the creature, drenched, battered, and trembling from the adrenaline coursing through his veins. His hands were raw from the rope, his body bruised from the violent struggle, yet he remained standing. The gator lay bound, eyes still burning with ancient rage, muscles twitching as it tested the restraints. Even in its weakened state, it radiated power. It was no ordinary predator, but a living monument of survival. To see it up close was to witness the raw, unyielding force of nature that had thrived for millennia. Chase's heart pounded, each beat echoing the truth of what he had just done. He had faced the king of the swamp, fought it on its own terms, and brought it into the open. It was not triumph alone he felt, but reverence. This was no mere conquest. It was an encounter with something beyond time, a creature that embodied the untamed heart of the wilderness. Reflection: as the sun broke through the clouds at last, its light fell across the deck, illuminating both man and beast. The swamp glittered in response, the water shimmering as if applauding the outcome of the battle. Chase lowered himself onto the edge of the boat, breath heavy but steady, eyes never leaving the gator's hulking form. He understood, perhaps more deeply than ever before, the fragile line between man and nature. Power had been tested, survival had been demanded, and respect had been earned. He had not just dragged a monster onto the boat. He had faced the living proof that legends breathe within the waters. Waiting for those bold enough to confront them, the legend grouseward would travel fast. The swamp had given up one of its fiercest secrets, and the story would ripple through the world beyond these waters. Chase Chrisley had not only encountered the beast, but had lived to bring it into the light. It was the kind of tale that grew with every telling, carrying awe, fear, and disbelief in equal measure. Yet for Chase, the legend was not in the boasting. It was in the memory of that first ripple, the raw terror of teeth snapping inches from him, the strain of rope pulling against unstoppable strength, and the moment when determination outlasted fury. That was the truth, carved into his body with bruises and into his mind with fire.